The U.S. completing its 8th straight night of strikes against Iran, hitting back at the terror regime for killing 2 service members in attacks in Jordan on Friday. Another U.S. soldier remains missing. Fox News contributor, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joins us now. Mr. Secretary, so great to see you this morning. Thanks for getting up with us. Tragic, terrible story here. Do you think that Iran has severely miscalculated our president?
Well, good morning, Charlie. Look, it is tragic. Anytime there's the loss of life of an American service member, our hearts just break. And so we should remember their families and all those that love them today. Yeah. I do think the Iranians are on a path for what is their ultimate capitulation. This isn't going to be, Charlie, this isn't going to be tit for tat. This is part of a continued strategic campaign on behalf of the Trump administration to do what President Trump talked about at the outset of this, right? Surrender from the Iranian regime. President Trump has tried to find a path forward that didn't require that, but the Iranians have clearly demonstrated they have no interest in anything short of that. So this effort will continue. We will diminish their capacity to control the strait. And this is about nothing less than Western civilization. Are we going to allow someone like a regime in Iran, a terrorist regime that has killed not just these 2 service members, but thousands of Americans over decades? Are we going to allow that kind of regime to continue to threaten basic human decency? Or are we going to do the necessary and make sure that that regime can never threaten, whether that's Israel, the one rightful Jewish state, or the United States of America and its president, as they're doing just as we sit here this morning?
Obviously, President Trump is, I think, made a very good faith effort, very much wanted to try to find a path towards peace with the Memo of Understanding. But during that period of time, Iran, brought in, some 20 oil tanker ships raising, $6 billion. Was that a strategic mistake to allow them to rearm? Obviously, during that same period of time, the United States has managed to rearm as well, stockpiles in the region. But was that a mistake?
Charlie, it's never a mistake to try to find a solution, I suppose. But allowing them to try and find that solution while they were having money come into their coffers when the nation is now near broke, I think was an error. I think it prolonged this in a way that I wish we hadn't done. But here we are. Yeah. And it's the case today that pretty soon that blockade that CENTCOM has so efficiently established and the effort to diminish their capability to harm ships that are moving through the strait, and frankly, the world's ability to make the strait just less important by moving crude oil and other products out of the region through places other than the strait itself. All of those things give Iran less leverage, and they'll eventually stop making payroll. Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, they'll stop making payroll. They'll stop having the money to buy munitions. And when that happens, the Iranian people will get the shot that they so rightly deserve. That's the path forward. Economic strangle, military power, and diplomatic patience will lead to a good conclusion for President Trump and the world.
Right. Real quickly, I want to switch gears real quickly to one of our most important strategic partners in the world. Here in New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani has made it a priority of his administration to, of all things, arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Listen to him talking to the New York Times.
I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. He's a war criminal. Whatever the law allows me to do in New York City, that's what we will do, but we won't be writing our own laws to that end. That's an active conversation with our legal department in seeing what the prospects are we have here in our municipality.
What do you make of that?
This is a communist, anti-Semitic mayor trying to make news for his own audience. There's nothing more than that. There's no chance he's going to arrest Prime Minister Netanyahu when he comes to New York in September for the UN General Assembly. It's just simply not going to happen. He knows it. You could hear it. You could hear it in his voice, Charlie. Yeah. But more importantly, we should all just think about it. He identified one leader. He didn't identify Vladimir Putin, who's taken tens of thousands of Ukrainian kids and took them back to Russia. He didn't identify the leader in Iran, who's committed massive war crimes. He talked about the one leader of the one Jewish state. I think that tells you all you need to know about what Mayor Mamdani was actually saying to the New York Times.
Who happens to be the most important strategic ally in a hot war that's going on right now involving his own country. It's kind of remarkable. Mike Pompeo, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Fox News reached out to City Hall for a response regarding Mamdani's comment, and we have not heard back from them.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.